Edgar Allan Poe, The Black Cat. My story is strange, and some people may not believe it. But I am not mad, and I am not lying. I simply want to tell the truth about what has happened in my life. Tomorrow I must die, and today I want to open my heart and confess everything. From my childhood I was known as a kind and gentle boy. I loved animals, and my parents gave me many pets to take care of. I spent hours with them, feeding them and playing with them. They loved me, and I loved them. When I became a man, this love of animals grew even stronger. I married early, and my wife also liked pets. Soon, our house was full of birds, goldfish, a dog, a rabbit, and even a small monkey. But my favorite was a big black cat. The cat's name was Pluto. He was large, beautiful, and very intelligent. At first, Pluto followed me everywhere. He slept by my side and always showed me his affection. For many years we were the best of friends. Pluto was not only my pet, he was my companion. When I came home from work, he greeted me at the door. He sat with me in the evenings, as if he understood my thoughts. Sometimes I even spoke to him like to a friend, and it seemed to me that he listened. My wife often laughed at me and said that I loved the animals more than people. She was not completely wrong. To me, animals seemed more faithful and honest than most of the people I knew. They never betrayed me, and they never asked for more than love. Sometimes my friends visited us, they saw our pets and smiled politely. But I noticed that they didn't understand me. They found my love of animals unusual, even strange. Yet I didn't care. I felt happy in my small world with my wife, Pluto, and the others. Chapter 2. The Change in My Character. As the years passed, my nature began to change. At first, the change was slow and almost invisible. But little by little, I became less patient, less gentle, and less kind. I cannot explain it fully, but I know one reason. I began to drink. At first, the wine made me feel happy and strong. It gave me energy and confidence. But soon, the drink controlled me instead of me controlling it. The more I drank, the darker my thoughts became. My words grew harsh, and my hands often trembled with anger. My wife suffered in silence. She didn't complain, though she often looked at me with sadness in her eyes. The animals who once loved me so much now began to fear me. They ran from me when I entered the room, as if they knew the shadow that grew inside me. Only Pluto stayed near me. The cat didn't run away, even when I shouted or pushed the others aside. At first, this gave me comfort, but soon, even his calm eyes began to make me angry. It was as if he judged me, and I couldn't bear it. One evening, when I came home drunk, I imagined that Pluto was avoiding me. I tried to catch him, but he bit my hand in fear. The bite was small, but in that moment something broke inside me. My love turned to rage, and I raised my hand against the creature I once loved most. Chapter 3. The Crime. That night, after Pluto bit my hand, I felt wild anger burning in my heart. I thought the cat had betrayed me, even though he had always been faithful. I took a small knife from my pocket. My hands shook, my head was heavy with drink, and my soul was dark. At first I only wanted to frighten him, but the devil of madness whispered to me, and in a moment of cruelty I cut out one of his eyes. The poor creature cried in horror and pain, and then he ran from me, trying to hide. My wife screamed, but I only laughed. The next morning, when I woke from my drunken sleep, I felt some shame for what I had done. I remembered Pluto's suffering eyes, and for a short time I wanted to ask for forgiveness. But soon pride and anger returned, and I told myself that animals had no soul, that my act was nothing. For some days Pluto avoided me. He moved carefully through the house, frightened and silent. At night he no longer slept by my side. His love had changed into fear, and this made my heart even harder. I began to hate him simply because he still lived. At last, my evil spirit won. One morning, I took Pluto by the throat and carried him into the garden. With cold blood I tied a rope around his neck and hanged him from a tree. He struggled, he cried, but I felt no mercy. When it was over, I felt a strange calm, like after finishing a heavy task. That same night, I woke up to terrible cries in the street. People shouted that our house was on fire. Flames rose high into the sky, and smoke covered everything. My wife and I escaped, but all we owned was destroyed. Only black ruins were left of the home that once was full of love. Chapter 4. The Second Cat and the Final Punishment. After the fire, my spirit was broken. I lost my home, my books, my memories. I felt empty, yet a strange voice inside me whispered that it was only justice. I had killed Pluto, and now fate had punished me. But still, I didn't change. I continued to drink, and with every glass my heart grew colder. One night, in a dark tavern, I saw an animal that made my blood freeze. It was a black cat, almost the same size and shape as Pluto. The only difference was a white mark on its chest. The cat came to me at once, rubbed against my legs, and purred as if it already belonged to me. I took him home. At first, my wife was happy, thinking that this cat was a gift from heaven to replace Pluto. She treated him kindly, and soon he followed her everywhere. But for me, the cat became a nightmare. He reminded me too much of Pluto, and every time I saw his missing eye, yes, this cat too had lost one eye, my soul shook with fear. Soon the cat became my shadow. Wherever I went, he followed. He jumped on my chair, lay across my chest at night, and stared at me with his one terrible eye. I hated him, but I couldn't strike him. Some invisible power held back my hand, as if to say, "You shall not escape this time." The white mark on his chest began to change. At first it was only a spot, but day by day it grew and took a new form. Finally, I saw clearly that it was the shape of a gallows. Every morning that terrible image burned into my soul, reminding me of my crime. At last, I lost all control. One day, in the cellar of our new house, the cat nearly threw me down the stairs. In a fit of rage, I grabbed an axe to kill him, but when I lifted the weapon, my wife caught my arm and begged me to stop. Her interference filled me with new fury. Without thinking, I turned the axe against her and buried it in her head. She fell dead on the ground without a sound. For a moment, I stood frozen, but then I began to plan. I had to hide the body. After much thought, I decided to hide her inside the cellar wall. I removed some bricks, placed the body inside, and carefully built the wall again. It looked solid and perfect. No one could guess what was hidden there. The cat had disappeared, and for the first time in weeks, I felt safe. 4 days passed. The police came and searched the house carefully. They saw nothing suspicious. I spoke calmly, even led them into the cellar to show my confidence. I tapped on the wall with my cane, saying how strong the building was. But the moment I struck the wall, a cry came from behind the bricks. It was long, loud, and terrible, half scream, half howl, like the voice of a demon in torment. The officers froze in shock. Quickly, they tore down the wall, and there they found the body of my wife. On her head, sitting with red eyes and an open mouth, was the black cat. I had built the wall with him inside, and now he was my accuser. The police caught me at once. I understood that my crime was complete, and that tomorrow the gallows would take me, just as I had once taken Pluto.